Good evening, YouTube. My name is Billy and welcome to my kitchen. Tonight I'm going to show you how I prepare my roast for the next day. I'm going to cook this for Sunday dinner, but I'm going to prepare it the night before. And I'm just going to take my roast and my seasonings. Now this is a blend that I make up myself, and basically I just put in a small bowl 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of pepper, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, same for garlic powder, and then another tablespoon of smoked paprika. And if you like things a little on the hotter side, you can add about a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And then I just kind of work that around until it's all completely blended. And I keep a bowl of this made up all the time just because it's really versatile. I use this on fish, on chicken, and on my roast. And I even use this when I make a big pot of beans. It's really good. Okay, so basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my seasonings and I'm going to coat my entire roast pretty heavily with my rub. Okay, and then I'm going to go over on the other side. You can really work it in there if you want, just to make sure it's completely coated all the way around. And that's good. Okay, let me rinse my hands. Okay, now we're going to take the roast and we're going to wrap that pretty snugly in the cling wrap. And the battle begins. Okay. Then I'm going to wrap that over. Okay. Over pretty snugly. You want it as airtight as you can get it. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but you want it really, really tight. And then we're going to go over, down, and then wrap it again. Just so it's really, really tight all the way around. That in, put that side in. Okay, now that once that's tight really well, I'm actually going to wrap that in some foil as well. And that's going to go in the refrigerator and it's going to set and marinate in those spices all night long. Excuse me. Now, when I get up in the morning to go to work, I'm just gonna take this out of the cling wrap. I'm gonna wrap it pretty firmly in some more foil and pop that in a roasting pan, and that's gonna cook at 200 degrees like all day long until I get home from work. The key to getting a very tender beef roast is long, slow heat. You know, if you rush a beef, anything, it's just gonna be tough. But if you cook at a low temperature for a very long time, it will be so tender, you won't even need a knife to cut it. All right, that's it. Hello YouTube, my name is Billy and welcome back to my kitchen. Last night I showed you how I prepared my beef roast. And that this morning before I left for work, I put that in the oven at 200 degrees. That's just been in there all day long. Now I just want to make it very clear, I did not leave my oven on without someone being in the house all day. There was someone here, so I don't ever recommend anyone ever walking off and leaving their oven on. So we're gonna let that rest just the way it is right now. And we're gonna go ahead and bump up our oven to 350. Okay, and now while that's resting there, we're gonna go ahead and get our vegetables ready. And basically I have one bag of these little potatoes. They're just multicolored and fun looking. There you go, and we're just gonna spread those out evenly in one nice even layer. Okay, and then I've got one large purple onion, and I've just put that in quarters just for the fact that I really do love onion, but not everyone in my house does. And I'm gonna leave them whole like that. So we get the flavor, but they're not so hard to pick out for those that don't like them. And we're just gonna play them in there about. Okay, and I've got about 4 pretty good sized cloves of garlic, and I'm just gonna mash those up. And just kind of chop that coarsely. Again, so my picky eaters don't have so much trouble picking out the bits they don't like. Okay, and then we're just gonna kind of just drop that all over the dish. Okay, that's really simple. And then basically all I'm going to do is take a carton of beef broth and just fill it up just enough so everything is covered. Okay, I'm not going to use the whole carton. Okay, so now, hand. If you work with garlic and onions a lot, this is a really easy way to get the smell off of your hands, and it works really well. Lather your hands up really good with some good soap. And then take your little stainless steel, no, don't press hard. You just kind of gently rub the stainless steel across your hands. And then just wash the way you normally would. And you're good to go. No more smell. It's very, very effective. It works really well. Okay, now I'm going to take some foil and put that right over my baking dish, because I really want to trap all of those flavors in there. Now, the beef broth has quite a bit of salt already there, so I'm just going to add a little bit of pepper, or maybe a lot. We like the pepper. So you could add more salt if you wanted to, but I'm not. We don't need it. There's plenty of salt in the broth. Okay. All right, and we're gonna put these in the oven. Just cover that up. Or if you have a large baking dish with a lid, you could use that. Put it on there pretty firmly. Okay. All right, and then we're gonna put that in the oven, and that's gonna cook for about an hour, just until the vegetables are nice and tender. Okay, now, I know that this is done, but I want to go ahead and check it anyways. And I've actually double wrapped this. So I have to be very careful because it's extremely hot. Oh, look at that. That is beautiful. And smells amazing. When you marinate your meats, especially beef, overnight, it really makes a lot of difference. That's good. Okay, and we're just gonna take our knife and we're just gonna cut into that, and just to make sure that it's done. I know it's done. I've done this countless times, and look at that. That's so tender. I probably wouldn't even need the knife. And that's done. Okay, so we're just gonna allow that. We're gonna wrap that back up. And we're gonna save the juices from this foil. All these juices that are from this meat, we're gonna use those. And I'll show you how to make a very quick and easy gravy out of that. And you could either use the drippings from this, or you could also use the broth that, you know, is in with the vegetables. Either way, it's really simple and it's really good. Okay. All right, and I'm just gonna wrap that back up. Okay. And we're just gonna pop that right back in the oven. And just let it, so it stays hot while the vegetables are going. Okay, watch your fingers. Okay, now, the meat and the potatoes are done, but I need to let you know that for the potatoes, I actually had to cook those for an additional 30 minutes. So about an hour and a half on those potatoes for about an hour and a half at 350. If you had a smaller dish of them, an hour would probably be more than enough time. And we're just gonna put that right on a nice little serving dish and be very careful because that is so tender. Okay, we're gonna set that aside. And now, I'm gonna use I'm gonna go ahead and get just a little something, and I'm gonna scoop up these potatoes and onions, and I'm just gonna put those right into a serving dish. Now, we're gonna leave all those big bits down in that juice because we're gonna make a gravy. And I'm gonna do 2 cups. So what I'm gonna do with that is I'm gonna measure, stop. Okay, you're gonna get a little saucepan, something that you're not afraid to use a whisk or a fork or spoon or whatever. And you're gonna be extremely careful because that glass baking dish is very hot. All right, and we're gonna measure, I'm gonna do 1 1.5 cups of the juice, and if you don't have enough, then you're just gonna add some water. And then you're gonna do 1/2 cup of cold water and about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And you're gonna mix the cornstarch and the cold water separately. But we're gonna go ahead and get these drippings into the saucepan. And I'm just gonna very carefully pour that right in. There's 1 cup. Okay, and then I'm gonna do 1/2 of that. And I may not have enough. And it's okay if all those little bits of garlic and pieces of onion fall in. That's good. And the pepper. That's good flavor. Okay. All right. There you go. Okay, now we're gonna take 1/2 cup of cold water. We're gonna go ahead and put this on the stove. And you can just put that on high because you just want it to be a really rapid boil. Okay, and you're gonna do 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Make sure the water's pretty cold. Okay, dump that in the bowl. All right, and then I'm gonna just put my whisk in there, and I'm just gonna eyeball that. 1, 2. Okay, now you're just gonna stir that really briskly until all of the cornstarch is completely dissolved. You don't want any lumps in here. If you have lumps in here, you're gonna have lumps in your gravy. And well, we're not those kind of people. We don't have lumps in our gravy. Okay, and you're just gonna stir that. Okay, and once that's smooth, you're good to go. All right, then we're gonna come back over here. And we're just gonna wait for that to boil. Now that's really hot because it just came out of the oven. So it shouldn't take that long, especially on high heat. Gravies are one of the easiest things you can make, you know, even from scratch. Because you can make the gravy just about, you know, whatever meat you're making, if you're doing a duck or if you're doing a chicken or you're doing a beef or pork, just use your drippings and your juice from whatever meat you're using. And then the quantity, I always use well, I don't know. We'll come back to that later. Three parts of your liquid and 1 part of your cornstarch and water. So if you were going to do 4 cups of gravy, you would want 3 cups of your drippings, or add water, and then 1 cup. And then about 1 tablespoon for each of cornstarch for each cup of your gravy. And you want to kind of keep stirring your cornstarch slurry because it tends to get a little thick. Now, once your drippings start to boil, it goes really quickly. And it's almost there. Okay, if you get closer, okay, you see, you want a really strong, rapid boil. There you go. Dump that in and stir like crazy. And you can actually go ahead and turn the heat off because it's going to thicken up just right away. And just stir, stir, stir. No clumps. No clumps. Good gravy has no lumps. No lumps, no clumps. And you just want to stir until it gets really nice and thick, and that, you know, everyone has their own desired consistency. Okay, now I know that my gravy is the way I want it when you take a spoon okay, and it coats the spoon and it just kind of slowly, there's a nice little coating on the spoon. That's what you want. That's perfect. All right, we're ready to eat.